Welcome to Pokemon Masters Council. I'm your host, Gym Leader Justin. I am joined, as always, by my brother-in-arms, Zero. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, guys? We're ready to dive into another How to Use guide. Like my boy Justin said, we're talking about Wo-Chien today.
Wo-Chien.
Before that, we gotta shout out all of our new subscribers. Thank you so much for becoming part of the Master Council. Thank you so much for supporting us. If you're not subscribed already, just do us a big favor. Really quick, takes a second out of your day, hit that subscribe button. We are trying to reach 1,000 before the end of the year. We could really use your help.
So Wo-Chien, the third in our line of how to use guides for, I like our coin phrase, Zero, the Dark Tapus.
The Dark Tapus.
So yeah, this is the third of the four Treasure of Ruin Pokemon. This is the Dark Grass type. This is the Snail.
Yeah. I think this is easily the weakest of the four
Really?
treasures. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't
fair.
love the design on his eyes. I love like the leaves and then like the shiny version. The
Shiny's
leaves are like
awesome.
different colors.
With the
I actually
fall.
like the tablets. The tablets are kind of cool how they make up the shell.
Yeah.
But he kind of looks like something out of Monsters Inc. that kind of escaped the door
Yeah.
and
Gary.
make it into a. And then he
Oh,
turns into a
Gary, why did you have to go?
Oh, dude, yeah. So he's basically Gary from SpongeBob mixed with Monsters Inc. and
Yep.
then unleashed into our Scarlet and Violet games.
He really is. I do like the shiny. You know, I like his ass. So when we get into this guy's stats, Zero, he is, like I said, the Dark and Grass type, and he has Tablets of Ruin.
So, Tablets of Ruin. This ability lowers the attack of all Pokemon except itself. Really strong field-wide ability. Also, gotta note, just like with all the other Ruin abilities, it does not lower the attack of opposing Wo-Chien.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
this is the
it's-
first. Yeah. This is the first of like the two tanky. So there's two of the offensive ones that are like armor penetration abilities. These are attack shredding abilities. So this is, you know, gaining you defenses now by shredding their offense or especially or physically. In this case, it's basically like an intimidate. But Zero, why is this amazing? Especially in VGC.
Well, because it doesn't proc Defiant. It's a field-wide Intimidate that does not proc Defiant.
Exactly. So it's just while he's on the board, basically how this works, I'll shorten it up for everybody watching here. While he's on the board, everything is at a active -1 to their physical attack, except other Wo-Chien. So, it's like an Intimidate mathematically, that's how you calc it, but it does not activate. There's no proc like Intimidate, so there's no Defiant proc, no competitive, no any sort of shenanigans whatsoever, right?
Yeah, and it's like extremely important because there's so many really strong physical attackers. You know, you got like Dragonite, Palafin, Great Tusk, Iron Hands, Excalibur. Like the list goes on and on and on. Physical attackers have always kind of reigned supreme when it comes to Pokemon. Even in, you know, like restricted formats, we got so many strong physical attackers. This is a really important ability, and one of the reasons I think Ruin Pokemon are going to be here to stay in VGC formats as anytime they're allowed.
So what do we got for stats, Zero? We got 85 HP, not too shabby. 85 attack, it's okay, it's not what we're going for. But 100 base defense. That's pretty solid for, you know, spoiler alert, his weaker of the two.
Right, yeah, and
95 special attack.
okay, usable.
135 spec D. There's the big one.
Okay, yep, so shoring up the one side of his defense is not affected by his ability.
And then 70 speed, so actually pretty fast for a snail.
Yeah, that's like the fastest snail we've ever seen in Pokemon.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, he's faster than the other of the two tanks. So it's pretty strange. Maybe he's a misprint.
It is. Yeah, and that 70 speed is actually pretty significant because, like, if you're, you know, going to be doing some of the annoying things we're going to be talking about in our guides, it's really good against things that are slower than you, like, you know, like Iron Hands.
Yes.
Things like that.
Being able to outspeed things will be incredibly powerful for substitutes.
Yep.
So, speaking of which, Zero, let's get into that first set. Let's talk about, basically, I guess we can call this this isn't ours by any means. This is kind of what the Pokemon does, but this is the bread and butter set for Wo-Chien. This is sort of the support, pseudo, we can call it the sub-seed set. I call it the support set.
So yeah, we'll start kind of from the top down. So we got the bold nature here, so kind of increasing your physical defense, max HP to kind of help round out everything, 148 defense that kind of ups that quote-unquote weaker of the defensive sides, 100 special defense, and 4 speed to outspeed any max defense infested Wo-Chien. Leftovers, very, very important, right? And then citrus berry and big root. What does big root do, Justin?
So big root's important because basically it gives you that extra slurp. It gives you that big gulp from 7-Eleven. So big root makes all of your healing, grass terrain, leech seed, healing from your allies, etc. Any sort of regeneration gets increased.
So then for Terra types, we're showing poison. Poison is kind of the number one because then you can't be poisoned yourself. That's more prominent in singles. We've got grass in case you want to pair that with your big root for some really strong Giga Drains. It also removes your 4 times weakness to bug and removes your weakness to fighting. And then obviously, as far as moves go, we've got sub / mean look. Mean look, definitely some fun tech to kind of trap in a really vulnerable and passive Pokemon so you can start doing your leech seed protection shenanigans. Gotta mention Ruination because, just chunking something down to half and then doing some leech seed damage is really powerful. Giga Drain, like we talked about, for some healing. And then Foul Play in case you're up against a really strong physical attacker. Maybe something like Palafin that only carries water moves in VGC.
Yeah, and I definitely think they're the stats will back this up, but there's definitely a lot of play for this sub-seed type of set in VGC as well. Foul Play is great. There's lots of good physical attackers that you are lowering their attack, which will then lower Foul Play's damage, so that's why it's sort of like the slash move. Just want to shout that out, that yes, the lower their attack is currently when you use Foul Play is where Foul Play's damage is calced from. So, just by having Foul Play on the Snail means that it's weaker than other Foul Plays because of his ability. He's cutting their attack.
Yeah, and to kind of back up what you're saying about VGC, if you can manage to leech seed multiple Pokemon...
Correct. You get a lot of healing, especially with Big Root.
It's game over, brother.
Yep.
Like, I've actually watched someone leech seed their own Dondozo and the opposing Pokemon to win the endgame because they had to pull the leech from... They needed more HP regen. They got it from their own Dondozo.
Leech seeding your own tank is a really good strategy, especially if your tank has, built-in recovery.
Right. Yeah, and I think that Dondozo had leftovers. So, the Dondozo would just protect, heal off leftovers, and, give up some of that leftovers recovery in the leech seed. So,
one
really,
thing you
really
could
strong
do
tech.
is leech seed and then Terra, so then you're leech seedable because you're pretty thick too.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you can put our Balava, and then she has the grassy terrain, and then you have
boy.
Yeah, see, that's the full.
Boy.
But anyways, yeah, this is a really fun set. This is a good set. This is a strong set, nice and tanky. You can change up the EVs a little bit, can't you, Zero? This can be all put out. Results may vary, right?
Yeah, if you want to start somewhere, start with this. But then if your team, that's the beauty of this, is if your team is oh man, I really need some special defense. Well, you can go fully specially defensive on this and let that be your special damage sponge, and then vice versa for
this is the
because
well-rounded all-comers set.
Yeah,
that's
so if you want to start somewhere, here you go.
Yep.
This is your list.
Terra type 0. Poison's really good, so that means you can't be toxic or poisoned and stalled out.
Yep.
Or kicked out of your stall.
Yeah.
And then the grass is really good because that way you're getting rid of the dark, which is the commonality between the 4 dark Tapus. So that's what people are going to be aiming for. And you being able to get rid of that spore or other leech seeds and poison powders, not having to get redirected by rage powders, really good to be still grass type. So there's still good defensive options here.
Yeah, and Steel type attacks are not like that common right now, especially in VGC. So Fairy could absolutely work as well, because then a lot of your weaknesses just become resistances.
Definitely. All right, brother. Ready to talk about the other set? This one we're going to use a little bit more of that 95 special attack.
Yeah, so let's move on to something a little more PMC like.
Yeah, this is the Bruiser build. Air quotes Bruiser build. So this one you can run either Modest or Quiet. Now it's not because of Trick Room Zero. 70 is a little bit too quick for me for Trick Room. Especially for like a hard Trick Room, right? But what we're going to do is, because this could be a mix attacker, because he does get access to knockoff. Stab knockoff. So we have Foul Play or Ruination or knockoff. Now they don't necessarily need to be the same slot. You can mix and match these moves anywhere around. I'm just letting you know what your options are. But knockoff is a great tech, especially VGC it's great, but I think especially in singles, getting a proper knockoff could be really clutch. Knocking off an early or doing any damage, I guess, would break a sash, but being able to knock off a particular choice item, levies out speed tiers later on, or maybe makes you live a hit, because you knock off their band or specs.
Yeah, really strong against recovery items too, like leftovers or citrus berry.
Really nice shout. I think he does have access to a couple of really nice support moves, Zero, in either Stun Spore. We already talked about Mean Look, not to mention, Leech Seed. But if you're not trying to go Leech Seed, and you still want to have that option there, Stun Spore's great, 75% accuracy for Insta-Para, or Poison Powder for, it's only a level 1 poison, but it is there. It is 75% accuracy. Just want to give those a nice verbal shout. Otherwise, that's kind of the lefties or citrus berry route here, Zero. And as you can see, the EV spread's a little bit more balanced. This is just, got a decent amount of special attack, defense, and then all HP, right? Just nice and bulky, because this is, baby, this is the potential AV set.
Yep, we always got to try out the AV set when it comes to the bulky Pokemon.
With a 135 Spec D? Come on, son.
Yeah. We've got the Pollen Puff there. It's really, really nice tech, especially in doubles.
Yeah, in Regulation C, Bug is like secret S tier right now because it's very commonly overlooked, but it is one of the things that does hit that commonality that we talk about, Zero, about hitting it's super effective against dark types, isn't it, sir?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Obviously Chi-Yu being the exemption, but Bug has a really nice place in the meta here. So Pollen Puff being good offensively in singles and doubles, and then in doubles, like you were saying, it also heals.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's got that double functionality in VGC.
Mm-hmm. And you can run that in the other set too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
you tech that in. Giga Drain's great, but this is where we're going to tech in that Terra Blast, sir. If you want to run a Terra Blast with the big fat snail, this is it. This is Justin's pick. You slap that AV on this boy. Poison's really good. You mentioned Fairy, especially with Terra Blast. Fairy being tanky Fairy, and then having Terra Blast Fairy, very strong. Also Terra Fire with Terra Blast Fire, very powerful, turning a grass type into now a fire type, basically flipping it on its head, right?
Yeah, really strong against Qian Pao.
Very.
I think Fairy's a little more well-rounded against all three of the opposing.
It's good, makes him good against Arcanine.
Right.
Being able to you could either foul play him or Ruination or knock off any one of those dark type becomes a really good option against Arcanine. And if you're not AV, a nicely placed Stun Spore will stop Jake in his tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, plenty of options here. I think this Pokemon is one of the Pokemon that has some of the best utility. Out of the Ruin Pokemon, I would definitely say this has the room to run the most, kind of sets.
Yeah, he does have dual screens too, but there are some other dual screeners in the meta that are just better because they have Prankster. So, but he does get access to dual screens also, so he's got a pretty wide move pool of support moves, like Zero said.
Yeah, he's got access to Taunt as well, things like that. So just little things here and there that kind of separate this Pokemon, I think.
As usual, Zero, we're going to close out by going over to Pikalytics. So as time of this recording, it was the beginning of May. The stats just got updated. So now he's actually a little bit lower. But right before they got updated, right before we started, like literally 24 hours ago, he was still in the top 10 for both metas. Singles.
Yeah, so
he was number 9 and then I think he's like number 12 in singles. But now he's dropped down, brother. Singles, he's number 18 in usage. As of May 6th is the time of this recording, 2013. 2023, excuse me. What am I talking about? Time traveling. And then he's number 23rd in doubles. So, again, more usage in singles with that sub-seed kind of set. You're not getting hit from two angles. But still really prevalent kind of in both metas. Just barely scraping by out of the top 20 in doubles. But still making top 20 count in singles. I love to see it.
I would like to take credit for his fall because Hatterene just kind of sits on the sub-seeding set. No, but like for real, it's a lot of that has to do with the rise of Golden Go.
And if you think that number 18 in singles is low, just put in perspective, he's higher in singles than Iron Hands, Corviknight, King Gambit, Palafin, Great Tusk, Garchomp, just to name a few.
Yeah, singles is really turning into something special, and we'll save that for our next podcast.
Definitely.
So tune into that. I have thoughts.
And in terms of doubles, he's higher up than Garchomp. Indeedee female, he's higher up than Tyranitar, Murkrow, Armarouge, Pelipper. So like there are still really prevalent threats in the meta when you think of VGC, and he's just, he's still outranking them even though he's 23rd of the meta. So yes, he has fallen, but it is relative. So far, Zero, 94% in doubles and 91% in singles for Leech Seed, sir.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to do first, singles or doubles?
We'll talk doubles.
Okay, cool. So in doubles, buddy, we got a 90% for Protect, 82% Pollen Puff, 42% Foul Play, or 29 Giga Drain, otherwise 27 Ruination. He does also get Snarl, notable, knockoff, sub, other, stuff like that, just like we talked about. Really good partners with Fluttermane because it shores up her low physical defense.
Yep.
Glamora, Chi-Yu, also Ting-Lu because it makes him super tanky. And then, as you can see, pairs up really well with other Intimidate pokes. And then Donnie, the big guy.
Oh, gosh.
Lefty, Citrus, Aguav, Big Root. All the stuff we talked about, basically. Calm, Bold, all the stuff we talked about. In singles, Big Zero. Number 1 ally is the Goldie himself. Number 2 is Harpooya, Dragonite.
Yeah, those Pokemon really rule the meta right now, and we're seeing a rise in a lot of really annoying tech, like I mentioned, that we will be
so pairing him with them later for like that pseudo-intimidate, basically.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
number 1 is Fairy, number 2 Poison, then Fire. So kind of what we were talking about.
Exactly.
Look at that. Number 1 is Lefties, number 2 Big Root, number 3 AV. Very nice. Bold Nature. So yeah, pretty sexy stuff, bro. Again, Leech Seed, Protect, Foul Play, Ruination, Giga Drain, Sub. Surprising to see Sub outside of the top 4, but it is there. For me personally, I really love the substitute tech, especially at base 70. You can like Zero said, you can use that to outspeed some stuff.
Yeah, and like it's really strong against like Ting-Lu and stuff like that because he's slower than you.
That's good against Garganacl,
the Dozer, stuff like that.
Zero, all in all, Wo-Chien's pretty fun. It's a nice tanky snail, good grass type. It's not Justin's favorite grass type. He's not making a top 10 cut. He's not going to make it onto any of my gym teams anytime soon. But there's an EX card coming out, and it is beautiful. It's got a great ability, and that new sexy art. Oh my goodness. Stay tuned for that Paldea Evolved coming in June.
Yep. So guys, thank you for tuning in for another one. If you haven't liked the video already, drop a like and hit that subscribe button.
And make sure you hit that bell to stay notified every time we put up a new How to Use guide here on the Pokemon Masters Council YouTube channel. Until next time, I have been Gym Leader Justin.
And I'm Zero.
Council's adjourned.